All right, so I think we're up to 13. All right, let's go full screen because it's better. And let's jump in and get this done. Okay. Part 13, which we do need to rename these because they're not coming in as conveniently as before. Oh. And so 13. Let's yeah, 1 to 4 will be fine. There's a lot of dimensioning now, so it's nice to have more space than when they're bigger. So turn it off and do our standard show shaded view. My default microphone has changed. Okay, we'll show hide hidden lines. Okay, now I have a different microphone. Excellent. Okay, so we've got a few hidden lines. They give us the center marks for these circles, which is nice. Let's do a few more. Okay, center mark. We need the center mark for that. And the only other curved surfaces are these two, which really don't like how clunky that is, but it does fit the rules. Which I don't know. The standards for things that are this small are kind of awkward, but let's see if we can undo a few things. That's fine. And so that's where things are curved, and we have some through. These are the these go through, so we can do our edge center line between here and here. Let you know it goes through there, and other than that, I think that's it for curved surfaces. So let's do our curve dimensioning and see how far that takes us. So let's just go top view because it doesn't really matter which one you do first. And so this is diameter and a little crowded. What is default microphone? I wonder if it keeps popping out or something. Let's decrease the precision to just a decimal is fine. And since we have two circles here that are the same, we can do TYP for typical, capital. And even though this is also 2 on the right side view, it's not the same view, so it doesn't can't double up on that. And we have an outside radius there. And those are the only curved surfaces there. Let's probably do with, well, let's just take care of all the curved surfaces because that will possibly save us some over here. And so there's an outside radius of this, if you recall, and it's the same as this. So we can right click, edit, give us a TYP, which I don't think there's a shortcut for TYP, but that's fine. And then we can dimension this thing right here, which generally like to keep things up a little bit, but it takes more lines to have it above. So we'll just go like that. Okay, so those are the sizes of all the curved surfaces, the radius or diameter, depending. Now we need location. So center point location is height and width to the center point, which technically this is the top view, so it's width and depth, but on the view, it's 2 directions. So we can dimension from this edge. Oh, that's weird. There we go. We could dimension this location from the right side, but you can't really dimension to a, like, the farthest point of a curved surface. So we have to dimension from here. And then this center point from the either front or back. Again, it's not great to have it outside on this side of, on the outside of everything, but that works. And then we just need the same for the center point of this, left to right, and it shares the same center as this, so we're good. And I did forget a center mark, forgot to do the center mark for this one, which shows you that the center mark, or the center of this arc, is the same as the center of this one, because they go through the same place. And that is the width and height of all, or I guess width and depth of the center marks here. And then the only curved surfaces are over here, which height from there to there gives us the height location, and the width, which is side to side. Debatable whether it would be better down here or up here. I guess up here, because it crosses over more lines that way. So this center mark, we have its vertical and horizontal direction on the view. Then we just need the center mark for these guys, which we have the height for that. And I guess let's throw in a width when in doubt. And then the center mark to here, which is going to be an in between. Let's rearrange the, actually that one should go to the outside. It's bigger. And you can see how it starts to get pretty crowded pretty quickly. Yeah. And then total width, which is only a concern of our when we do two-dimensional ones. Okay. So we've got size and location for everything rounded. Now we just need to do our width, height, and depth, which I can already tell I'm going to need a little more room for these. Depending on how you did it, you might need it also. So now we just go through width, left to right. First thing that happens is this. And then the next thing that happens would be this center point. We already got it. The next thing that happens is this center point. We already got it. And then total width is just the distance of the center point plus its radius. So we're good on width. Height down to up. First thing that happens is the height of this ledge, assuming I have the dimension tool. And the next thing that happens is this center mark, which we already got. And the last thing that happened is this center mark plus the size of this arc, which is less clear that it's a perfect, but it's fine. And then depth is either up here or over here, and it's covered a couple ways. So it's either this location, but radius. Okay, remember when we made it, okay, we have 2 inches this way from that center mark and 2 inches that way from the center mark. We know it's 4. So there you go. And all the other stuff is handled with the curved surfaces. So there you go. You could remake this part, which that's our standard. Could you remake the part from these dimensions? And let's see if we can. I would shrink down the arrowheads. Maybe that'll get us a little bit. And maybe no decimal points. I don't know, your call on that. There is some room for preference on style. But yeah, the goal is, can you make the part from the dimensions given? That's goal 1. Goal 2 is not use anything that isn't needed. Okay. So I didn't rename this. This is drawing 13. And I'll give you another minute to look at it. Okie dokie. All right. So 14. And create a new drawing. Default template. And let's get the part. It shows up eventually. There we go. 14. And we could scale it up in a second, but let's stick with this for now. And hold on a second. I want to see, did it jump to adjust and show hide. Oh, it jumped to 5-1. All right, so it's guessing what it thinks the best scale is, which I guess is a good thing. And so we need projected for right side and projected for isometric. And let's do the other refinements, show shaded view and show all of these. Show hidden lines, which there will be a couple. Okay, curved surfaces, well, center marks. We only have 2 center marks we need to add. Nothing else looks oh wait, and this outside one. And now what about through? The things that go through are on this 2-point or 2-edge center line between here and here, which I don't know why it won't let me select here both those at the same time, but there you go. Should go all the way through. Okay, so that goes all the way through. That's looking at the main hole from the right side, and the same thing over here. That goes all the way through. And I don't know, it's kind of clunky to do a through from there. I think we can skip that and be clear that it goes all the way through, which it does kind of show it over here. All right, and let's dimension some curved surfaces. So there's only curved surfaces on the top view. Okay, radius of 2, which you would think both sides, because they are the same size curve, we could do TYP, but we can't, because on this side it's a circle, which is why we get diameter, and on this side it's an arc, so that's why we get radius. And before we go any farther, let's go ahead and take it down to a single decimal, assuming that works. And then we have another curved surfaces here, which is the inside. And then we have the curved surfaces here, which this one does repeat. So we can right click, edit, and add the typical. All right. Then we just need location in both directions, which when you're ever dimensioning things about curved surfaces, you always dimension where it looks curved or curved edges. And because we don't really have a left edge to start from, like we have in the other parts, we are going to use this as our anchor point to all of the other dimensions, which starting, as long as we locate them from a similar point, we'll know where they are. So the distance to this center point is there, and the distance to this center mark, I guess it's a center mark, not a center point, but that's fine. And that locates all the center marks Now, to be fair, it is locating it from one of the center marks, but because we'll handle width in a second. And so we have, well, I guess we do have the vertical distance, the distance from the front to these center marks, because we have this 2 radius. So that's going to handle a lot of stuff, this 2-inch radius of this arc or 4-inch diameter of the curve part. But that's it for curved surfaces. Now we can do our regular left to right. First thing that happens is the distance from the left to the center mark, which we don't need because we have that. The next thing that happens is the distance to here, which is still dimensioning to a curved surface, which is why we have it there. So we don't need that. All these other things, all these other lines are either center mark or hidden lines from curved surfaces. So we don't need it. And then width, total width is also not needed because we have our distance in the middle, plus we know this is 2 more inches, and here we have 2 more inches. So we know it's 8 plus 2 plus 2. We don't need that 12. So that's it for width. We don't have any other widths. Okay, height down to up. First thing that happens is this height, which is not covered anywhere else. And the only other height is total height, which is not covered anywhere else. So that's height and depth, front to back. We took care of that over there. So this is it. And if you think about how you would actually make this, or how we made it, we started by drawing the footprint, which is essentially this top view, and extruded it too. And then we drew the circle again and extruded it the remaining 4. And there you go. Those are the only dimensions that you need. And if you are interested in making things look good, having some consistent distances and angles, I don't know why it won't let me get closer than that, but that doesn't look bad. And as far as these, it's another word besides extension lines, I can't think of it. As long as they're not going straight up and down or straight horizontal on the view, it's fine. 45 is nice because you can do it for all of them. And there you go. That's part 14. And let's name it drawing 14. Okay, 15 and 16 are similar, if you recall. So it's going to be a lot of the same features. So let's go ahead and do a new create drawing, basic template. And insert part 15. Part 1, is it going to give me scale 4:1? That's fine. Front view, top view, front view, right side, front view, top right. And we can be done with this. Okay, so we have some curved surfaces, so we need center marks. They've already given us center marks for these tiny holes looking straight down, and a center mark for here. The only other curved surfaces are these front radii, rounded over edges. And we have this rounded over edge, and then we have this rounded over, but interior. That's it for rounded over. And oh, I forgot to do hidden lines, and that'll give us one more thing. Show hide shaded. And 1, 2, 3, right click, hidden lines. There we go. There's a lot more hidden lines. And let's see, how are we gonna do this? Well, we need our through lines. Okay, so this hole goes all the way through, so we need to do our edge center line between here and here. That shows you it goes all the way through. And same thing here, which is the distance it's between these two hidden lines, because those are the hidden lines of the hole there. Then there is, well, there's these holes here, which go all the way through. And so there's those. This is the other two, which line up perfectly because they line up perfectly that way. And then same thing over here. This one goes all the way through, which is actually this one and this one, because we're looking at it from the right. And this one and this one is just that guy. Okay, so we have our center marks. Now let's do some sizes of curved surfaces. And we have, from the front view, we have this and this and this, which you can kind of get it to look sort of funky that way. I think this is the cleanest way to dimension it. I'm going to go back to just a single decimal. And yeah, so we have the size of all these. Let's do some sizes for this. With the dimension tool, we have this one, which is repeated 3 times on this view. So let's go ahead and right click, edit, TYP. And so that takes care of the diameters of all these 3. Then we just have these 2 filleted edges. And there's 2 that are the same on the same view. So we can edit that and give it a typical and save us some lines. And I think that is the size of every curved surface. Okay, so now we need some locations. And so let's just go through these. Because we have this dimensioning from the center mark going left, just like the last one, we can call this one our sort of where we're grounding everything from. So we need, as long as we dimension everything from this, it's the same thing as knowing where it is. So this location is, well, we can do to this one, we're kind of doing width and like regular width dimensions and the other ones at the same time. And so the other location is what in this case is total width, and we can clean this up. We don't have to worry about the center marks here because those, even though there's lines here, they technically happen on the top view, or they're circular on the top view. And locations for these points, we can do the same thing where we know this is our sort of known center mark, our anchor point, and we can do width to there. And that's it going sideways. I think this is, we're going to knock out all of the dimensions except 1 or 2 in a single go. And I think I'm getting a little crowded here because of over there. So size and location of these center marks. The distance from here down is a good dimension, but over here it's going to cross over a bunch of things, so we can put it over here. And the only other vertical for center marks here is this one, which it's going to be hard not to cross over something. So we'll just put it over here. And then for these, we need our distances, which are depth, but you know, up and down on the sheet for this view. So how are we going to locate this? Well, we can, if we did it to the front, we'd have to cross over something. So we can do it from the back, and because these line up, we can do it like that. And same thing for that one. Okay, and now there are just a few center or regular linear dimensions like from before. And so let's go clean it up and see what we have. Okay, left to right, regular width. first thing that happens is this. We've got that. That's actually our anchor point. Next thing that happens isn't really this edge because we have that from this radius. It's this center mark, which we have. And the only other width is total width, which as long as we're dimension from there is there. Okay, so height, we don't have anything that tells us how tall this first ledge is. And we could put it on the front view or the right side view. And we could put it on the front view without actually crossing anything. So that's not bad. And then there's the height of this, which we got already. There's the height of this, which we got already. And total height is just this plus this. So we're good on height. Width, height, and depth, which starting front to back, we have the location of this, which is the radius from there. Location of this. The one thing we don't have is how far it is, like how wide this thing is, which this is back to our old choices. We could put it on the top view or on the right side view, but the right side view is significantly better because this is actually going to a contour. So this is one of our old dilemmas, which this is better. And I think that's it. Let's do some rearranging. I don't think shrinking the arrows would help us there. Nice and neat. Do take a second to make it nice and neat. Neatness is part of that goal of avoiding confusion. I might shrink down the sizes of the arrows. And I don't know. That would be in the realm of preference. And thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay, so there is 15. If you missed something, I'll have the replay will be up pretty quickly. And let's go ahead and name it drawing 15. And so what do we do today? 13, 15. What does that leave us? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 16. We'll do that. That'll be the last one for this set. And let's create a drawing. Default template. Okay, in part 16, choose that. I bet that's going to be like 1 to 5. Yep. All right, that's fine. It is a larger vertical aspect ratio part on our sheet. That's always going to be horizontal, so I'm not surprised it's a smaller scale, 1 to 5 compared to our 1 to 4 or 1 to 3 situation as usual. Okay, cancel the project view. Right click, show shaded view, and hold down shift, click them all. Right click, show hidden lines. Okay, so let's do some center marks. Things look curved. We've already got center marks for these holes. We need a center mark for the outside of that, center marks for here. And that's every curved surface on this view. The curved surfaces, we already have a center mark for there. The only other curved surfaces are there. Okay, and let's do our through lines. Thank you. Where do things go all the way through? Well, these tiny holes go all the way through. We can go center there, and you can see how it's sticking out, shows the viewer that it goes all the way through. And on the top view, things that go all the way through are just this. And on the right side, things that go all the way through are this, which is that top horizontal hole. And this goes all the way through between there and there. That's it for through lines. Let's dimension the size of the curved surfaces. On the front view, we need the outside and we need the inside, which are both diameters. And let's shrink some precision. Yeah, there you go. And on the front view, the only other curved surfaces are these sort of shoulders, which they are identical. So we can edit those to typical. Oop. And that's the size of all the curved surfaces here. And on the top view, there is only this and this, which are both repeated on the view. So we can give those the typical treatment. And I'm going to shrink down these arrow lines. They're getting to be like the exact size of that view. So let's change dimensioners and 0.1 look good. Maybe 0.12. Yeah, it's a little better. Okay, so that's the size of all of the dimensions, or the dimensions of all the round surfaces. Now we just need location of all the round surfaces and then double check for linear dimensions. So on the front view, let's count this as our anchor point because we actually have, just like before, we'd count everything from the left. Distance from here to this center mark gives us that. And the distance, the only other center mark on the front view is this one, which we are going to have some issues with crossing over, but I don't really see a way. I guess we could put it down here. And it would do the same thing. Which, hold on, notice this for a second. So if you dimension between this center mark and this center mark and put it below, you don't get gaps between the view. And the reason for that is you're connected to here, where if you put the dimension line between this point, you do get a gap. So that's not something I would take points off for, but it is something that is definitely better. Which it'd be nice if the default center mark didn't touch either, but I think that's just a preference of mine. But I think you'll agree that looks better when it doesn't actually touch. So all of the center marks width locations are here. So we just need center mark height locations for this view. And the distance from here to there is a center mark. And the distance, the height or so of this, which we already have stuff over here, so I'm not even going to try the right side. And we'll put it over there. Okay, then size and location of the center marks here. We already know their distance to the front because we have this radius. So we just need a way of covering the full distance, which is the same thing as doing the remainder. So that's our dimension this way. And then location, we know it's 1 inch from the side. And we know it's 1 inch from the side here, so we don't need those other dimensions. So many of the dimensions are inferred based on what's already there. So let's just go through and make sure we have all of our, height, width, depth, or width, height, depth, as if they were all square. first thing that happens is this. We got it on the top view from that. Next thing that happens is this center mark we got. Next thing that happens is the other one and the other one. So we've got all our width dimensions. Height dimensions. We don't have the height of this ledge. So we need that. Next thing that happens is the center mark, we got it. Next thing that happens is this center mark, we got it. And then the only other thing is total height, which we have with the height of this center mark plus, the remainder. And then depth, front to back. First thing that happens actually is this edge here, which would be the distance from here to here. But it's definitely going to look a lot better as the distance from the back. And the only other thing going front to back is this distance, which sort of the thickness of the neck part, which this is a tough one because the distance from here to here is that, but so is over here. And this one goes to a contour. This one doesn't cross over. It's kind of a push as far as which is better. I'm going to put it on the right side view because it's getting kind of crowded. And I think that's it. How would you make this? Well, you'd start with a base that's a rectangle that's 8 by 3.5 plus 1.5. Okay. Then you'd round over these edges, which are 1.5 inch radius. Then you'd extrude it 1. You'd make these circles, which share the same center point, diameter 1, and go all the way through. Then you would make this footprint of the taller part, which is halfway between here and here, and this thickness, and extruded the height of this, or total height. You round over with these two things, and you make a circle this big and extrude it the difference between what you already had and 4, which is another 2, and then a through hole. So we walk through it and we've got it. I think we did that for all the ones we did today. Yeah. So that's just sort of like a double check. And that's where we're going to stop for this set. If, oh, and let's rename it drawing 16. And yeah, that's good.